Hey, hello everyone. We're gonna do another pond video today. So it's like almost the end of June. I think it's like June 21st or something, and we finally have gotten into some consistent hot weather. Okay, so today I think it was like something like 94 degrees. The temperature gauge in my truck said 97, although I'm not sure how accurate that was. Maybe it was reading because the outside of the truck is going to absorb extra heat, from the sun. So I think it's about 94, 95 degrees. The temperature in the water, in the pond, is 75 degrees. Okay, so like if you've got like aquarium fish, that's like not particularly hot, but for like goldfish and pond fish, that's like, that's pretty hot. And the goldfish are like, they've been very active. I mean, they've been like going back and forth, like they're kind of resting now. But before I saw like they were coming through like a train almost, like 20 of them at a time, 30 of them at a time. So this pond is about 5,500 gallons. Okay. So it's at the deepest point, it's about 3.5 feet deep. For it's like an S shape. It's about 110 feet long. There's about 10 feet of it that are about 3.5 feet, and then the most of it is about 2.5 feet, and then like at the very shallow end over there, it's like about a foot deep, right? And it's almost like a beach over there, like on the two ends, on this end, and then like way on the other end over there. It gets very, it comes up very shallow, like a beach, and the small fish like that. But yeah, it's kind of nice to see the fish like really enjoying the warmer temperatures. And what happens with the goldfish and the rosy reds, which like intermingle really well. Like they don't even know that they're different species of fish. They've been feeding like crazy. Now with these fish, you really don't even need to feed them in the pond. They'll find stuff to eat between the mosquito larvae and the bugs. But the thing I see them eating the most is on the bark that I have floating in the pond. There's like stuff growing on it, algae. Like they'll like be picking at the tree barks all day. They just graze all day. It's one of the reasons why pond fish get so much bigger, is because they're able to eat all day. Now, because I'm up on the mountain, it's like my elevation here is about it's close to 2,000 feet up. I only get like really like 2, maybe 3 months of summer. So like they got like 2 months now to basically fatten up, to get big. So even though I really don't need to feed them, I have been feeding them just to try and get them bigger. I do have a bunch of them. They're about 7 inches long. The goldfish will grow up to 12 to 14 inches. Okay. So I'm trying to get them bigger. You can see that guy right there. He's like eating, like they're eating off of the stuff that's growing in the wood in there. So yeah, in the pond, they're just gonna eat all day. They don't wait for you to feed them. But because I'm trying to get them bigger, I have been also feeding them. I've been giving them primarily a mix of cat food, goldfish pellets, and goldfish flakes. I'll only feed them like maybe twice a week. Although maybe this week, since it's so warm, maybe I'll feed them a little bit more frequently. But like I said, they pretty much eat all day. And I'm also going to throw in a can of dog food. Basically spread that throughout the pond. Let's go to this end over here. I'm going to spread that throughout the pond. See if anybody's on this side. Look for you guys on this side. So yeah, the dog food is also good. This is all like cheap ways to feed them. I can see there's a bunch of rosy minnows a little deeper over there. So there's a shallow end. I think it's like a foot deep here. So keep these guys fed, especially now that the temperature's hot. So we can try and get them big. So we've had a lot of rain this month, and basically this is a tactical trench here that I built, a shooting trench. So when it rains, basically the water basically collects, and it basically all ends up down here. I never intended for this to be a permanent pond, right? But it just, that's what it turned into. Because the water collects from here, right? It comes down, and then I'm about 150 feet away from a stream, so I've got natural groundwater also. So like even if it doesn't rain for like 3 months, like last year it didn't rain for 3 months, and I think like maybe I basically I dropped from 5,500 gallons to maybe about 2,500 gallons. So more than half of the pond still stayed full when we didn't have rain for like 3 months. So yeah, this is a permanent pond, and this is a even though it's man-made, it's a dirt bottom pond, right? So there's no like liners or anything to keep the water in there, because it's got natural groundwater. It's just it just stays full year round. So let me take you around the other side. So right now they like being in the sun. So this is almost like a perfect pond setup. And a lot of times people kind of get confused with like what we like to see in the pond versus what the fish like. Okay, because a lot of times people want like a pond without stuff in it, so that they can see the goldfish, and they don't want any shade. So again, so they can see the goldfish. But that's not what the goldfish want. The goldfish want structure. They want stuff to, not just the goldfish, but the rosy reds and the white clouds, and especially the medacas that I put in there recently. They want places to hide. Okay, they want they want a lot of structure. So that's why I got all these branches here. And they say like 75% of your pond should be covered. Should have shade, because for one thing that it reduces the like if you got predatory birds that fly overhead that eat fish, it gives them cover from that. That's also the reason why I got branches all along the edge here. You can't see them now because of the weeds that have grown through it, but there's branches all along the edge, because I had a heron that was coming last year that would basically land on this runway over here, and then it would walk into the pond to try to go fishing. Well, they don't like branches along the edge because they trip over them. So that's a good way to keep the heron out. So between the tree cover that I got, because I got like lots of trees here, the tree cover and the branches I put in there, I mean, there's a lot of shade here. So the fish, they like sunny areas, but they also like shady areas. And it also helps with like the water not evaporating. If you've got a lot of shady areas. A lot of people like if they're down south where it stays warm, they'll put like lily pads and stuff like that. But I can't put lily pads here because they'll just die in the wintertime. In the winter, this pond does freeze over. So for 3 months, like almost 3 months, basically there's a sheet of ice over this pond, and the fish are fine underneath it. There is going to be a little bit of a die-off, right? It's going to be some natural selection. I think I found 8 that had died after the ice melted. There was probably another maybe 20 that went straight to the bottom and I never saw. But what happens is the fish that survive end up being stronger, like more resistant to the cold, better adapted for cold weather survival. So yeah, the fish that survive and continue to breed they're gonna be better suited for the hot summers and the cold winters. And goldfish are like some of the toughest fish out there. Goldfish and the rosy red minnows, extremely tough fish. I did put some koi in there. I don't know how they're doing because, for one thing, the koi are a lot more expensive. So I cannot buy as many. And at this point, like until the koi become like almost 2 feet long, it's really hard to tell them apart from the goldfish. So they got similar colors, right? Because I've got goldfish that are like, traditional koi colors. So it's hard to tell them apart. So I do not know how the koi are doing. But the goldfish are doing good. Rosy reds are doing spectacular. I put in some white clouds. I can't tell yet how they're doing. I haven't seen enough of them to. Again, I only bought something like 20 of them because they're expensive, right? It's not like rosy reds where you can buy like 60 at a time or something. So I put in some white clouds and I put in some like 20 medacas, little rice fish. I just put those in, so we'll know next year how well they do. These guys are hanging out there. I did put in some shrewbunkins, which are basically just fancy colored goldfish. So yeah, this is a kind of like a perfect setup for a pond for goldfish because it's got a lot of coverage. It's got like lots of structure in there, branches and stuff like that, for them to you know, to swim through and hide under. And you got leaves along the edges. That's where they basically lay their eggs. And actually, I've seen them eating the grass. The goldfish will, you know, they're herbivores. They'll eat both. They'll eat anything they'll fit in their mouth. So I've actually seen them eating the grass itself that's in the water. Let's go around this way. So yeah, they tend to favor that area over there. That's they prefer the shallow end, right? This is like the deeper end here, which is like 3.5 feet deep. They'll come here. I'll see a few here sometimes, but not as many. So I mean, you can barely see the water because of all the coverage that I have. So again, that coverage keeps the water from evaporating, gives the fish, you know, it protects the fish. There's a fish right there. Gives them some protection from predators. Also, that's the reason, like you see those branches I got going across there. Yeah, so that's so like a duck or something can't fly in there, start picking off the fish. So this goes all the way around. This end over here is where the tadpoles lay their eggs. So now there's like tons of tadpoles in there. There's probably like 3-4 times as many tadpoles as there are fish. It's probably about 400 fish and maybe about, I don't know, like 2,000 tadpoles. So normally this dries up like this is like 100 feet up to here, but we've had so much rain that like this reserve area has just also filled up with water back here. In fact, you can see, like, if you look at this shooting berm I got here, right? You can see though we've had so much water over the past month that like there's water trapped behind this berm, and even though it's like 94 degrees today, like the water's still like seeping out of it, and the ground won't dry. You know, see how it's wet? It's because of all the rain we've had. So anyway, I wanted to kind of do a pond update with some, you know, given like this is like the first day where I've seen, or the first week where I've seen like consistent hot weather, and the temperature's been like up in the 70s, and I'm trying to like keep track now of like how the fish are reacting or interacting, or what their behavior is with the different temperatures. So yeah, 75 degrees, they love it. They're busy eating and swimming back and forth, having a whole bunch of fun, and they are fun to look at. Basically, this is like, what I do is I shoot. This is like this pond is like at the halfway point of the property that I shoot on. So what I'll do is I'll set my targets up at the far end, and I'll shoot from the other end. And then as I'm walking through to check my targets, I'll check on the fish and, you know, look at the fish for a few minutes on the way to check my targets. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the pond video. Look at those guys right there. I just threw in a can of dog food. I spread it throughout the pond, but this right here is one of the areas I threw it in. They're like circling like little sharks over there. Over here. Again, there's an area that I threw in some dog food. You can see how they're eating on the tree bark. Those are guys right there. Well, some of them are eating the dog food, but some of them are also eating the algae that's on the tree bark. Tree bark is like one of the great things that you can put in your pond because it floats and it creates lots of surface area for algae and also the bacteria that eat the nitrates, basically the fish waste. You want to have as much structure as you can in your pond for the good bacteria to grow on that basically eat the waste products that the fish produce. Nice 7-inch goldfish there.